The reason the boomers give us shit about buying luxuries is because back in the 80s, luxuries were expensive, but life was cheap. Now it's been inverted. Our life is expensive, but our luxuries are cheap. So I think this is where the disconnect's happening. For example, in 1980, you could rent a great apartment for $200, but a television would run you $1,000. So if you bought 3 TVs, that would be $3,000. A CD player was $500. A cell phone was $2,000. A personal computer was $2,500, and a microwave was $500. That's $8,500. That is 3.5 years rent on luxuries. And $8,500 was also equivalent to a 20% down payment on a $40,000 home. So it was irresponsible if you didn't budget correctly to buy all these luxuries because it could be holding you back. But today, it's flipped. Our biggest luxury is our rent for $2,000. We can now buy 3 televisions for $600. We have a Spotify account, cell phone for $1,000. You can get a computer for $500, a microwave for $200. That's about $2,400 a month. So our luxuries is about 1 month's rent, where theirs was 3.5 years rent. And if you want to put this onto a down payment, even if you took the average home of $420, let's bring it down to just $320,000. A 20% down payment on that is $64,000. So if you gave up all those luxuries, you would still owe like $61,000. This $2,400 of luxuries wouldn't even cover your closing cost of $10,000 on that home. So the whole thing's been flipped. So I think when they see us with the TVs, the avocado toast, and the cell phone, they think that's the reason we can't move forward. But why we can't move forward is because housing, daycare, college, and healthcare is so expensive. But those are our necessities. These luxuries are just fun little things that we have.
I mean, houses are expensive. Rent is too high. These days, people have to actually move in with a roommate just to be able to make it. I mean, 1980s, I'm sure it was tough because maybe job opportunities weren't there, and the very few ones that were there, you had to hold on to them. But these days, jobs want you to drop every single blood, sweat, and tears for the least amount of payment. You'd be out there working 80 hours a day, and they'll give you what? For the minimum wage?
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
So it's like trying to keep up with everything else. You're living, start a family, buy a home. You're not able to do that because you're spending so much of your time at work. Keep up with bills or debt.
Hey everybody, my name is Tyler, and because of the out-of-control inflation that we're having in our country right now and rent prices being over $1,500 a month, I have been outpriced at the rental market, and I live here in my car full-time, and I wanted to give you a brief tour. So starting with the bed here, it is a 3-inch memory foam mattress topper. Super comfortable. I have about 4 layers of blankets, which keeps me warm, especially right now we've got 20-degree weather at night, so it's pretty cold.
Hey, I'm gonna have to hold it there before he goes in because I'm pretty sure that's the end of the tour. Is this the American dream? Is this what everyone was rushing to go to America for? To go and live in your car? Maybe that deportation might become a blessing. Cause what is this? We have like the largest economies making the most amount of money, but yet people are living like paycheck to paycheck. Some people pretty much living out on the street. The jobs are not there anymore. Like they're getting dwindled out. Tech is trying to replace every single aspect of the job so it can be more efficient and productive.
I come from a country that not only doesn't care about the world's poor, it doesn't even care about its own poor. 1 in 7 Americans is hungry right now.
My God.
And they don't care. I mean, the poor people care, but one political party, all it cares about is cutting taxes for the rich and filibustering any solution. So we're in a world that's really tough. The private sector is not going to solve this problem.
Ain't no way the private sector ain't gonna do that. The private sectors only care about increasing profits and increasing shareholders' returns. If it doesn't align with any of those two, and now we have most of those running in politics. Beautiful.
So basically today, the Republicans decided behind closed doors that they want to take $500 billion in funding for Medicaid, for healthcare, services that middle-class people really rely on, and they want to cut that funding and use it to pay for tax cuts for billionaires and big corporations.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
How do funding cuts pay for tax cuts?
So it's a math problem, right? Tax cuts for rich people and billionaires are really, really expensive. They add trillions of dollars to the deficit, and we know this because the Republicans did this already in 2017 with their partisan tax bill. So what they're trying to do behind closed doors is take that $500 billion in services for middle-class people, for healthcare, for nutrition, all of that, and move it over and give it away as a handout to rich people.
I cannot believe this shit.
Americans are so broke and they don't even realize it. I always get Americans tell me, oh, but people in Mexico only make $20 a day. You can get a full meal here for $2. The metro in Mexico City costs 5 pesos, which is like 25 cents. Now, people make less money here, but the cost of living is also lower. Americans think that everywhere is like the US. Now, check this out. Let's say you live in the US and you make $3,500 a month after taxes. I'm being generous. Rent, $2,000. Car payment, $500. Car insurance, $200. Health insurance, $200. Phone bill, $100. Wi-Fi bill, $50. Light bill, $150. Water bill, $100. What's the point of making more money if you don't get to keep any of it? Who cares if you make $4,000 a month if you don't get to keep any of it? 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and that includes half of six-figure earners. 80% of you guys are in debt and don't own anything. And half of you guys don't even have $500 in your savings account. But let's call other countries poor and let's call other people poor. Living paycheck to paycheck your whole life and being in debt your whole life should be considered poverty, but it's not. And I know this is going to hurt a lot of Americans, but it's the truth. The US system wants you to spend every waking moment of your life working and paying into a system that will never benefit you. Slaving away your whole life just to be retired for a measly 10 years. At least here in Mexico, we own our things. We own our houses. We own our cars. We're not in debt. But anyways, that's a story for another day.
We might have to move down to Mexico, man. I mean, the weather is great. The food is good. The chicas are even better.
Yeah, boy.
It's all looking up in Mexico. You need a system where the government is actually working for the people, not against it.
You ain't lying.
So many people are poor, but yet you have systems that send money out of the country to help other places when people in your country need the help the most.
$20 million for Iraqi Sesame Street. $2 million for Moroccan pottery classes, $11 million to tell Vietnam to stop burning trash, $27 million to give gift bags to illegals, $330 million to help Afghanis grow crops, $200 million on an unused Afghani dam, $250 million on an unused Afghani road.
You owe me money, nigga. Jesus. I want my money. Jesus!
63% of workers say they wouldn't be able to cover a $500 emergency expense.
Most people don't have $1,000 in the bank. Most people cannot handle a tire blowout or they're going to put it on credit.
Absolutely.
Americans now carry more than $1 trillion in credit card debt.
Hey!
The official poverty measure in the U.S. today is based on calculations from the mid-1960s.
It's also a system that is pervasive in actually creating poverty situations.
There was this great video that CNBC made talking about why more Americans are being pushed into poverty. It highlighted some key aspects that we're not really even taking into consideration.
37.9 million. That's the number of Americans currently living in poverty.
In Canada, we have 41 million people in the whole country. Y'all can make a whole country in Canada.
Accounting for 11.6% of the total population. That's despite the fact that America ranks first as the richest nation in the world in terms of GDP.
The United States is known for having this great abundance, and at the same time, alongside that abundance, there is widespread poverty and economic insecurity.
Sometimes you question, we're in the United States of America. How can the citizens be going through such a issue? We always boast that we're a superpower, that we are the richest in the world, and things just don't make sense.
Poverty in the U.S. had been steadily improving over the past decade. From a height of 48.8 million people living in poverty in 2013 to 34 million in 2019.
Not bad.
And that was until the pandemic changed its course.
COVID absolutely had a very deep impact on the access to employment and long-term employment for a number of families that were already vulnerable for various reasons.
Poverty is expensive. About 11% of the federal budget, or $665 billion, goes to economic security programs.
A lot of companies were also cutting down on jobs and then were finding other ways to replace certain people's positions. Let's also add on to this. Cost of living is firstly way too high. Secondly, you have people who are not being paid. These companies do not want to pay people a livable wage. And then on top of that, you'll have too many rich people that you don't tax. You give them too many loopholes to get around it so that they can keep all the money. And you expect the country to grow even further? Like, come on, tax the rich so that they can also contribute to the infrastructure that they're benefiting from. Giving a pass for billionaires and then expecting some things to change.
Income inequality is one of the big reasons why the U.S. suffers from such high rates of poverty.
Absolutely.
The income for the top 10% was more than 13 times higher than income at the bottom 10%, according to the U.S. Census.
We, unfortunately, in the United States are at the very high end in terms of income inequality. And so what happens is when the distance gets further and further away, the rungs on the ladder get further away, and it's harder for people to climb those rungs out of poverty into the middle and to the upper class.
The pandemic has made inequality worse. The Gini Index, which measures the nation's income inequality, rose for the first time in a decade by 1.2% in 2021.
The reason the pandemic has made that worse is because when you talk to large organizations, corporations, what they saw was that staff was leaving, but they had a response to that, right? Their response was, let's give bonuses, let's give raises. Many organizations, many small businesses, government, they don't have that luxury. So inflation has kept up with the money that most people in the 1% have made, but it has deepened and widened the gap between those that have money and those that do not.
Research by MIT estimates that the living wage in the United States is $24.16 per hour for a family of 4. But the federal minimum wage is set at $7.25 per hour.
$7? Yo, how's someone supposed to live with that? And then what, the raise you'll get is probably 45 cents, 50 cents raise. And they're like, oh man, if you ask for like $1 or $2, hey, that's too much. Well, and then you have what, only like 4-day vacations a year? Oh my God. This is a whole other form of slavery, I swear to God.
This means that a typical family of 4 needs to work more than 2 full-time minimum wage jobs to earn a living wage. And single-parent families need to work significantly harder.
We worked at a bank. We worked for $15 an hour. It was really bad. I would say we were really overworked. 13-hour shifts sometimes. We were really frustrated with where we were, but at the same time, it was like, what do we do if we leave? You know, we were at that stage of like, yeah, we hate this job, but we have to keep it to continue going.
This is why I can understand why some people will buy courses online and, believe whatever these gurus are telling them, because it's like when you're in a desperate situation like that, what else can you do apart from like finding the next easy way out? They don't even have enough money to go to school to even get skills to learn and get better jobs. It's just like a whole cycle of generational poverty. So that number is probably going to even get more bigger and bigger. Now we're in this weird economic climate. We're not even out of the woods yet with inflation and cost of living still high. Sad, I don't know. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. Leave your comments, let's talk about it. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Welcome to the channel, and I will see you guys when I see you. Peace.